11.
All right. So at the bottom of page 98, we have, they're asking us to write the electron configuration for atomic number 20. We were able to identify that the element with atomic number 20 is calcium. It's in our second column in our fourth row. All right? So when we are doing electron configuration, we know that configuration means what? What do you think of when you hear that word? If I ask you for the configuration of my desks, what does that mean?
Like the
Number, the order.
The order, the length and measurements maybe, but pretty much where it's all laid out, right? So configuration is how something is constructed, and electrons are what? From last week, what did we learn about electrons?
They're the same as the
They're the same as the protons.
Well, we have the same number, very good, as the protons. And they are, essentially all I'm looking for is you telling me that they are subatomic particles. What is their charge?
Negative.
Negative. Very good. So electron configuration, even though it's a whole lot of syllables, all it means is where are the electrons in an atom. That's it. So this is the basis of what we call a Bohr model. The reason it is called a Bohr model is because it's named after scientist Bohr. Okay? It's not that elaborate, but it's also here to bore you. All right, so we got our Bohr model. These are different rings. These are orbitals. All right. When we do our electron configuration, you are not required to draw a Bohr model unless I ask. I'm going to draw it out as we do our electron configuration so you guys can see what it actually means. Electron configuration is essentially a roadmap to exactly where we are going, what element we're going to. In this case, what element are we going to? Calcium. We live at hydrogen, all right? Hydrogen is up in the top corner. Every time we start electron configuration, we're going to start there, all right? And now, on top of all of the periodic table stuff that we have right now, you need to be able to identify the different blocks. So the tall, skinny block over here with two columns is called the S block. Then we have our long and low in the middle here. That's our D block. And then we have a nice little square block on the side. That's our P block. And at the bottom, those two long rows are called the F block. So this will come in handy when we are writing it out, all right? And I'll show you how we do it. So, first things first, what row do we start on? Where's hydrogen live? 1, okay? Those are our period numbers all on the side there, okay? So we start by writing our period number, which is 1. Now, according to our little map here, hydrogen lives in what block? S. So we write the block letter. Then you're going to tell me how many columns are in that block that we have to go through in order to get to our friend's house, calcium. So, before you guys answer, I want to tell you something else. Helium, over here, all right? Helium's all the way over in group 18, but it actually, for electron configuration purposes, lives in the S block. All right, so instead of being over here, he actually lives right here, right next to hydrogen. So, with that information, how many columns are in the S block?
2.
2. We have helium, and we have hydrogen and helium, right? So just 2. So we put in our superscript number 2. Is there anything else besides hydrogen and helium in our first period? No. So where do I go? To the second period. Very good. So we have 1s2 done. Now, if we're starting with period number, what am I going to write first? 2. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me erase this real quick. Over here in our Bohr model, what this equates to is your first ring. You ignore the letter for the Bohr model purposes. And then you have 2 electrons. So you want to pay attention. This is your ring number. And the little superscript is your number of electrons. All right, so we're just going to continue to build that as we build our electron configuration over here. So back to it. You were right. What did you say though? What do we start with?
2.
Big number 2 for our period number. What block are we still in?
1. No.
Block is a letter. S, right? Because we're still over here in this column. And then how many columns are there in the S block? 2. So little 2. So what am I going to fill in over here in my Bohr model?
The second ring?
Very good. How many electrons?
2.
2. All right?
ATCs.
Now, keep going across. All right, we have the S block here, and then we keep going across. What block do we run into if we stay in period number 2?
B. Wait.
Five.
What block? We're looking at letters.
B. No, that's P.
Oh, P.
P. P block is over here. Very good. So, we're in what row or what period? What number?
Second period.
Good. Big 2. What block? What letter?
P.
P. And since we're not at our friend Calcium's house yet, how many columns are there in the P block?
1. 6.
6.
6. So we do a superscript 6.
I'm so.
So at this point, for our first introduction, I don't expect you to get it, but I expect you to just kind of figure out the pattern and the tool of the periodic table. All right? So what am I going to add to my Bohr model now?
You add 6 to the second ring.
Right, we're still in the second ring, and we just add 6 more electrons. For a total of how many in the second ring?
8.
8, very good. Is there anything else after the P block in our periodic table? For the second period? No, so where do we go?
To the third.
Very good, third period, so we know we're going to write big 3. And then if we're starting over, what block do we start in?
S.
Very good. S. How many columns are there in S?
2.
2.
Good. So if you're following along, you see that we're at magnesium right now, right? So what do I add to my Bohr model?
2 electrons.
2 electrons to my third ring. Perfect. All right, what's next?
Aluminum.
Don't you go to the P block?
So we're going, yep, to the P block, and aluminum is the first one in our P block. Very good.
It's 6.
There are 6 across, so what am I going to write?
3 S.
Not S.
3
3
P. 6.
3 P6.
Perfect. All right. And what do I add to my Bohr model?
3. Oh, I said 3.
6.
6 to the third ring.
Perfect.
They always have to be groups of 2.
So electrons do pair up. That's kind of one of the other things that we're going to learn as we learn about each one of these things and how they apply to electron configuration outside of period numbers, block location, and columns. All right, all of these things have other meanings, but just for us figuring out how to write this, this is kind of how we find it. So we do this first, and then we figure out our meanings to everything later. But yes, we do write them in 2s, plus it's easier to count. All right. After 3p6, is there anything after the P block? No, so where do we go?
Back to the first column.
And the S.
Back to S, and now what period?
The fourth period.
4th. Now pay close attention. What's our friend's house? Calcium. So we're going to calcium, which is number 20. Is that in our 4th period?
Yes.
Yes, right? And it is in which column of the S block? Which column? So it's either in the first or second column.
Second column.
The second column. So we stop there because do we want to go past our friend's house?
No.
No, you don't want to go too far. All right? So you write wherever your friend's final address is. We can consider it like that, right? And then it's done.